Hey Moreland, today I'm down in St Kilda for the Midsummer Pride March supporting the LGBTQ community. It's a beautiful day. I'm proud to be here representing Moreland, walking behind so many wonderful dedicated people. This march goes towards exactly what our values are. At Moreland, we're one community proudly diverse.
More pride! More pride! More pride!
More pride! More pride! More pride!
I'm Moana Hope, most people call me Mo. I've grown up playing at Glenroy Football Club and now I play for Collingwood Football Club. I grew up in Glenroy, born and bred. My first year ever I played at Hatfield. From the second year all the way up to under 12s, it's Glenroy Football Club. I'm one of 14 and the reason why I got into it was my dad and my brothers. I used to watch all their games from the age of 3. It was community football, so it was the best type of football.
So proud of you.
Local footy is really important. I think, especially Glenroy being the suburb and this being the main supplier of sports for the community. You look at what Glenroy are trying to do here, trying to bring up a women's team, and in the background is my niece who just finished under 12. So at the moment she hasn't got a pathway. So Melanie's played for Glenroy from the same age as me, from the age of 7, and she is now too old to play boys football. So she's excited about the girls team, aren't you?
Very.
So she's extremely competitive, not as good as me.
Calm down.
Probably a few kids that are not on the right road, and I think if you give them that sport or that outlet to go and meet new people, it can benefit the community in more ways than one. What do I say to girls? It doesn't matter who you are, what your skill level you are, what fitness level you are. It's a good environment to be in, it's fun, you meet new mates. This is where you want to be, so come down and have a kick.
So I'm Claire Johnston and I'm an accredited cricket bat maker and the first female in the world. I learnt how to make cricket bats from Ian Cullen. There's a lot of bats out there for men and I felt that there was an opportunity there to actually work with women to make better bats and to actually make them for their style. So recently I was commissioned to make 5 cricket bats for the Pascoe Vale Hadfield Cricket Club for their under-13s girls cricket team. And to see their faces when they were given the cricket bats was just brilliant. So what I'd really love to be able to do is to keep working with my local community, the local cricket clubs, particularly the women, and work to make great cricket bats.
My name is Michael Tortoni. I'm the founder of Melbourne's legendary jazz club, Bennett's Lane. I've recently moved to the very, very cool Brunswick. The Jazz Lab here on Leslie Street, Brunswick is Melbourne's new home of jazz. In my old club, you might have seen Prince for a late night set, or the Wynton Marsalis Band, or even the Harry Connick Jr. Trio. My new club will also host stars of contemporary music, starting with the Bill Frisell Trio for the Melbourne International Jazz Festival, as well as local stars. So drop in for some great music and a drink at the Jazz Lab.
Good evening, councillors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name This recording will also be available as video on demand. Gallery attendees are advised that they will be recorded during the meeting. I'd also like to advise everybody that if they're in the event of a disturbance or an emergency of some sort, please follow the instruction of staff or security who will assist you in leaving the building. Councillors, may I have a nomination for an interim chairperson?
Could I nominate Councillor Helen Davidson, please?
Is there a seconder?
I'll second that nomination.
Seconded by Councillor Tapanos. All those in favour? Carried.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. This meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people, and offer my respects to the Wurundjeri elders past and present, and to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. I acknowledge that currently many Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have made Moreland home and have contributed positively to the rich diversity of this municipality. I would also like to acknowledge the following distinguished guests: the Honourable Peter Khalil, Federal Member for Wills, Senior Sergeant Tony Porth, former Mayor Mark Higginbotham, former Mayor Anthony Halou, former Mayor Councillor Megan Hopper, and former Councillor Lenka Thompson, and former Councillor Joe Cannellan. I'd now like to go through the councillors in attendance tonight. We have Councillor Natalie Abood, Councillor Sue Bolton, Councillor Anna-Olivia Carley-Hannon, myself, Councillor Helen Davidson, Councillor Ali Alfrani, Councillor John Kavanagh, Councillor Dale Martin, Councillor Mark Riley, Councillor Lambros Tapanos. The directors in attendance tonight are Director of Corporate Services James Scott, Director of City Infrastructure Grant Thorne, Director of Social Development Arden Joseph, Director of Planning and Economic Development Kirsten Costa, Executive Manager of Organisation Development Anita Craven, Manager of Property and Governance Olivia Wright, and Unit Manager of Governance Sally Curran. Now, I believe we have an apology tonight. Is there a councillor who wishes to move Councillor Yildiz' apology? Moved by Councillor Anna-Olivia Carley-Hannon. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor John Kavanagh. All those in favour? I declare that carried. In accordance with our meeting procedure law, I call upon the Chief Executive Officer to preside over the election of Mayor for 2017-2018. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davidson. Also like to, before proceeding, acknowledge former Councillor Samantha Ratnam, Dr. Samantha Ratnam, who just came in right now, just snuck in through the side. Councillors, I'd like to call for nominations for the position of Mayor for the 2017-2018 mayoral year.
I would like to nominate Councillor John Kavanagh as Mayor.
So Councillor Kavanagh, nominated by Councillor Davidson. Is there a seconder?
Oh, sorry, I thought Councillor Riley.
Sorry. Yep, so I have Councillor Mark Riley as a seconder to that. Are there any other nominees? I now declare that nominations are closed. As there is only one nomination, I declare Councillor John Kavanagh duly elected as Mayor of Moreland Council for the 2017-18 mayoral year. I'd now like to invite former Mayor, Councillor Helen Davidson, to place the chains on our new Mayor, and for our new Mayor to come and make his ceremonial mayoral speech. Congratulations.
I'd firstly like to acknowledge our special guest here tonight, Peter Khalil, the Federal Member for Wills, Samantha Ratnam, MLC for the Northern Metropolitan Region and State Leader of the Greens, Former mayors, Councillor Anthony Halou, Mark Higginbotham, Megan Hopper, and former Councillor Joe Cannellan. I begin by acknowledging that in the municipality of Moreland, including the land on which we meet tonight, is part of the traditional tribal lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who cared for this land for tens of thousands of years and continue to do so. I offer my respects to their elders, past, present and future, and to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here tonight or watching on live stream, and particularly for those who live in Moreland. Being elected Mayor is indeed a great privilege, and I'm honoured to have the support of my fellow councillors. I'm aware that other councillors have decided to forego their ambitions to enable this to happen. I know that Councillor Abood and Councillor Carly Hannon were interested in standing, and I thank them for the uncontested vote tonight. As well as a great honour, the mayoralty is also a great responsibility, and I thank my fellow councillors for entrusting me in this role. I commit myself to serving the people of Moreland to the best of my ability, with energy, pride, commitment, and above all, integrity. I am determined to lead a council in achieving the aspirations of our community, while acknowledging that I need to represent the collective view of the elected councillors. In leading this council, I look forward to pooling our strengths and working together to serve in the best interests of the community. It is my firm belief that we are at our best when we harness the collective talents of all the elected councillors, and I intend to do this with those I'm privileged to share this table with tonight, and also commit to utilising the talents of the new councillor who will be elected by a countback on November 22nd. In a few minutes' time, the Deputy Mayor will be elected, and I will work particularly closely with that person, the person who is elected to that office. I acknowledge the efforts of our current councillors who have just completed their first year of this council term. We have an excellent mix of newly elected councillors and those with more experience, and we have gelled into a formidable, talented and committed group. This is of course credit to each individual councillor, but it's also due to our outgoing Mayor, Councillor Helen Davidson. Councillor Davidson has led this city in an exemplary manner over the last 12 months. She really is a person with extraordinary qualities: charming, intelligent, hardworking and courageous. Over the course of the last 12 months, she had met countless numbers of Moreland residents in every facet of the community, and I'm sure that they have loved every interaction with her. Moreland owes her our heartfelt thanks for a truly outstanding mayoral year, and I offer my sincere congratulations and thanks. Well done, Helen. I would also like to acknowledge former Councillor Samantha Ratnam, who has now taken a seat in the Victorian Legislative Council. She has worked tirelessly for Moreland over the last 5 years. She will be a powerful voice in Parliament, and on behalf of all the councillors, I sincerely thank you and congratulate you on entering Parliament and on your election as a Victorian Greens leader. She has an abundance of talent, as evidenced by her elevation to the Victorian Parliament. But one talent I think that's previously unrecognised is her timing. She was elected to Moreland Council on the day I ceased my first mayoral term, and then she resigns a few days before my second. Just missing out on my mayoral term. Great timing, Sam. Thank you. That was a joke. I was first elected to Moreland Council in 2004, and I'm about to enter my 14th year on council. Although I've been on this council for over half of its existence, I remain passionate about the opportunity that the position of councillor affords you to do, in essence, to do good. In 2011, I became the first Mayor of Moreland who was not a member of the Australian Labor Party, although I come from a very strong Labor family tradition. My great-grandfather, a son of a convict, was instrumental in forming the Australian Labor Party in Tasmania and Victoria in the 1880s and 1890s, and went on to become the first federal president of the Municipal Workers' Union, which is now the Australian Services Union. His son, my grandfather, was the ALP state member for Carlton from 1932 to 1955, and was Cabinet Secretary for many years, and was State Cabinet Minister, holding the portfolios of health, housing and forestry. He was simultaneously a Melbourne City Councillor from 1938 to 1955 and leader of Labor's caucus for most of that period. Obviously this is no longer allowed, otherwise Councillor Ratner would still be at this table with us. Granddad's wife, my grandmother, was for many years an Honorary Secretary of the Victorian Labor Women's Organising Committee. As their contribution to Victoria was enormous, I am incredibly proud of their achievements. Their daughter, my beautiful late mother, instilled in all of our family a commitment to community service. She believed that the political process gave ordinary people the ability to improve the lot of others. She found it difficult to understand those who were disengaged with the political process, and it's no coincidence that my brother Peter became a member of the Victorian Legislative Council, and another brother, Paul, who is here tonight, was a Victorian lead candidate for the Australian Democrats in 2006 state election. Added to this, another grandchild, our cousin, Moira Kelly, has received numerous honours for her humanitarian work, most notably as adoptive mother of co-joined twins Krishna and Trishna. We share one thing, a commitment and a passion to contribute to our community, and I hope that will be the hallmark of my mayoral year. If it is, I will be fulfilled. I also wish to thank my wife Margarita and our 4 adult children for their constant love and support. Margarita's story is one that is common to many in Moreland. Her parents, Emil and Margaret Zagon, were post-World War II refugees from Germany and Hungary. In 1954, my late mother-in-law established the first creche in Moreland on the corner of Moore Street and DeKalb Street in Coburg. I have been a primary teacher for the last 35 years, the last 20 of those in North Faulkner, and I personally also value the 31 years of part-time work that I spent working in different service stations around Melbourne, many in Moreland. As we enter the second year of our council term, Council is well underway in delivering a new 4-year council plan, which has 3 broad aims. Firstly, we want the people of Moreland to be part of a connected community, to continue to be socially cohesive and inclusive, and we want to make sure that no section of the community is left behind as we grow. Secondly, we want our citizens to live in a progressive city, one that is affordable and sustainable as it transitions to a growing population. Thirdly, we want our residents to be confident in us as a responsible council, one that delivers both outstanding customer service to you, but also being financially sustainable and efficient. Within these larger goals, there are a number of key things that we want to achieve. We want to do better when it comes to consulting with you on major changes in the city before we make final decisions. We want to work on how we continue to support our aged and disabled citizens, as the federal government funding model offers many challenges in the next few years. We want to increase the amount of open space we have in Moreland, especially in areas that are experiencing high levels of development and that are most in need. We want to influence development further so that a broader impact of urban densification is taken into account, not just for immediate neighbours, but for neighbourhoods. We want to continue our progress in lowering emissions, targeting a zero carbon emissions in our community by 2040. As our city transforms, we want to find creative and sensible solutions to issues like parking, public transport, shared road and path use, and the overall reliance on the car. Of course, Moreland doesn't exist in isolation, and we are affected by the same issues that are impacting major cities around the globe. Population growth in our municipality is speeding up, and the land value is naturally increasing. The Melbourne CBD and the inner ring of councils in metropolitan Melbourne is home to not only the majority of employment opportunities in the state, but at the same time Melbourne's transport and road systems are becoming much more congested. These 2 factors mean that even more people want to make their home in Moreland. The latest demographic data suggests the population will increase by 66,000 people by 2036, which is more than a third of our current population. Our role in guiding and development has never been important than right now. We know that many of our citizens simply don't want development. We know that Melbourne cannot, but we also know that Melbourne cannot endlessly expand, and the state government of all political persuasions will demand greater urban density, particularly adjacent to the CBD and areas like Moreland. We are saying loudly to the government that we don't want inappropriate development. What we do want is mandatory height limits that our community can live with. We also want the highest designs for apartments, including minimum sizes for apartments, so that the developments of today will last well into the future. We are also urging the state to do more to ensure that there is affordable housing available for our citizens. And we, as a council, are also exploring what we can do to help our citizens in this space. We are delighted that after more than a decade of campaigning to get level crossing removals, that removals in Glenroy on the Craigieburn line, as well as Moreland Road and Bell Street on the Upfield line, are to be removed as part of the 50 level crossing removals being carried out by the Andrews State Government. We are working with State Government to ensure that the methods they use, Skyrail or Trench, meet community expectations. The previous 12 months has seen some great achievements. The biggest infrastructure project in Moreland's history, the redevelopment of the Oak Park Pool, is now well underway and on track to open in time for the 2018-19 summer season. We have made great headway in our long-term strategy to reduce the municipal's carbon footprint. Council has reduced its corporate greenhouse emissions in the last financial year by 375 tonnes. 2,000 households and 300 businesses have undertaken energy-efficient upgrades, many involving the installation of solar. One Coburg resident is the first Victorian to install the Tesla battery system to allow energy producing during the day by solar cells to be stored and used later, surely a sign of things to come. There have been improvements for our youngest residents with the upgrade of 5 playgrounds in Moreland. Likewise, some of our major shopping centres have had a facelift, most notably footpath improvements in Sydney Road, Coburg and Pascoe Vale Road, Glenroy. Earlier this month, in partnership with Whittlesea and Darebin councils, we opened a new animal welfare facility in Epping to house lost pets, which is being operated by the RSPCA. Besides implementing projects every day, Council delivers services to its 170,000 residents. We registered 14,101 dogs and cats. We hosted 17,007 children at storytime sessions. We had 147,594 attendances at our Learn to Swim programs. We processed 1,648 planning permits. We cleaned 21,879 kilometres of streets. We maintained 820 hectares of open space, collected over 7.5 million bins, 4,516 baby immunisations and 5,116 school children immunisations. 1.2 library books borrowed. Council staged festivals and street parties attended by more than 90,000 people, including the Brunswick Music Festival, which has featured both the local and international artists, but the list goes on. And so, what is to come of the next 12 months? Last year we adopted the Moreland Food System Strategy, and in this coming year we'll start to make it real, connecting people with how food is produced and encouraging them to get their hands dirty, and enlivening and extending our already great community gardens and working to reduce food waste from many of our food retailers. We'll upgrade another 6 playgrounds and continue the $1.3 million expansion of the Oxygen Youth Space. We'll keep up our work in partnership funding with the state government to build and federal government to build a new community hub in Glenroy, which will in time house a new library, maternal and child health centre and a range of other community services, as well as adding to the open space in the heart of Glenroy. A new children's centre will soon be open on the former Pentridge site in Coburg, creating more kindergarten and child places for our growing population. We'll complete the new community centre in Pascoe Vale, co-locating a range of early years services, including Sussex Neighbourhood House. After many years of community activism, the Merliston Progress Hall will experience a rebirth with over $1 million committed to its rebirth. This stemmed entirely from the tireless efforts of local residents, and they're to be applauded for their campaign. $11.9 million for roads, $2.1 million for footpath and bike path improvements, $4.7 million for parks, open space and streetscape improvements, For the first time, there'll be 2 hard waste collections throughout this year. And thanks to the great work of Councillor Davidson, soon to have a dog agility park. These are but a few of the plans for the year ahead. In all, a capital works program expenditure of $51.4 million and not 1 cent in new borrowings, and this in a rate cap environment. The coming year will also present Council with some big decisions that will have long-term implications. So often I hear people stating that our elected officials lack vision for the future. I do not believe this criticism could be laid at the feet of this Council. This year we will address, amongst other matters, the future of our aquatics and leisure facilities and how they can meet the needs of our changing community. And that will be finalised. We have already sought community input early in the process and will do so again when we've completed a draft set of proposals. We'll need to determine which is the best way for Moreland to continue supporting our community after federal government changes to aged care funding and the National Disability Scheme is rolled out. We'll continue to review our local laws to ensure that there's an appropriate balance between individual freedoms and community protection. As mentioned previously, we are going to create more open space in Moreland, but to do so we need to adopt a method to decide which land we should buy to make sure it is fair for all citizens. I encourage all citizens to tune into our council meetings every month and watch live as we discuss the current issues and make key decisions on behalf of our residents. I'm grateful to the councillors who have gone before us and the legacy they have left us. I think of the late Mike Hill, the first Mayor of Moreland, and those who have occupied this privileged position as councillor for the intervening 22 years. I know that they have left us an active, progressive, engaged municipality. But since the council election 12 months ago, that baton has been passed on to us. I know from working closely with my fellow councillors over the last 12 months that this group of people around me are worthy of this inheritance. I'm reminded of the words of arguably the greatest anthropologist of all time, Margaret Mead, when she said, and I quote, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." Well, councillors, we might not be able to change the entire world, but we can improve and change for better the world that sits within the municipality of Moreland, and I look forward to playing my part with your support in doing so. Thank you. Thank you very much. In accordance with our meeting procedure local law, I call on the Chief Executive Officer now to preside over the election of Deputy Mayor for the year 2017-2018.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd also like to acknowledge former councillor Alice Pryor, who also snuck in just a few minutes ago. So welcome, former councillor Pryor. Councillors, I call for nominations for the position of Deputy Mayor for the 2017-18 mayoral year.
I nominate Councillor Natalie Aboud.
Is there a seconder?
I'm happy to second that nomination.
So Councillor Aboud, nominated by Councillor Riley, seconded by Councillor Kavanagh. As there is only one nomination, I'd like to declare Councillor Natalie Aboud duly elected as Deputy Mayor of Moreland City Council for the 2017-2018 mayoral year. Congratulations, Councillor Aboud. Thank you. And I invite the Mayor to resume chairing the meeting.
Councillors, we have some order of business tonight, and now we need to make appointments to the Audit and Risk Committee and to the Urban Planning Committee in that order. So firstly, can I have a motion to appoint councillors to the Audit and Risk Committee, please.
To nominate councillors or just to nominate moving it?
Yep. You want to nominate Councillor John Kavanagh and Councillor Olivia Carley-Hannon? And is there any other... We've got a third position available.
I'll take it.
Sure. Councillor Abood.
Oh, and Councillor Abood? Okay. Good. Okay, so we've got a motion there that Councillors John Kavanagh and Olivia Carley-Hannon and Councillor Abood be appointed to the Audit Risk Management Committee for 2017-2018. We have a mover, Councillor Farley. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Riley. Is there any discussion on that? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Okay. We also now need to have councillors nominated to the Urban Planning Committee and Chair. Yes, Councillor Abood?
I'd like to put a motion that all of the councillors be nominated to the Urban Planning Committee for the 2017-18 mayoral year.
Yes.
And appoint Councillor Dale Martin as the chair.
I second the nomination.
It's nominated by Councillor Abood, seconded by Councillor Martin. Are there any other nominations for chair? Yes.
Martin was the seconder.
Sorry, Martin was seconder. Yes.
Sorry, Riley was the seconder.
Riley seconder. Sorry, apologies. Thank you. Yes. So nominated by Councillor Abood, seconded by Councillor Riley, and the nomination is for all councillors with Councillor Martin as chair. Do we have another nomination for chair?
Yeah, I just want to amend to have Councillor Farley as chair.
Councillor Farley as chair. Okay. I gather that's probably not acceptable to the mover and seconder, so I'll take that as a foreshadowed motion. So if the first motion fails, then we'll move on to that for that motion. Is that acceptable? All right. So just to explain there, I'm putting forward the motion that all councillors are on the Urban Planning Committee and that the chair be Councillor Dale Martin. That's been nominated by Councillor Abood and seconded by Councillor Riley. I'm putting that to the vote at this point and taking Councillor Carley-Hannon's as a foreshadowed motion if that's unsuccessful. All right. So putting that to the vote, all councillors in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All councillors against? 3. I declare that carried. All right. At the conclusion of the last council term, there was no formal opportunity to recognise the contribution of councillors who did not return following the council election. I would like to invite the following former councillors to accept their certificates of appreciation for their contribution to the Moreland Council and community. And I think there's only one in attendance tonight. I think it's Councillor Megan Hopper. If there's anyone else, I think it is. Councillor Hopper, would you mind coming forward? For your contribution. Good. At her last meeting as councillor, Samantha Ratnam was presented with the Certificate of Appreciation for her role in the final year as Deputy Mayor. So now I'd like to present a Certificate of Appreciation to Councillor Helen Davidson, the outgoing Mayor, and provide her with the opportunity to say some words.
I'll briefly say a few words just to thank councillors for their tremendous effort this year. When you choose to run for council, it's as though you take a big breath, step outside your comfort zone and say, I'm here to help, I've got some ideas that I think are going to benefit this community, and I care deeply for the people of Moreland. You are willing to accept criticism, you have your ideas being challenged, and you're in the scrutiny of the public eye. I've worked with some of the bravest people I know this year, and I want to say thank you. You have set the benchmark high for the next 4 years, and that's really reflected in our council plan. We've made some tough decisions and achieved some remarkable things together that will continue to benefit the people of Moreland long after we're gone. When you take up the position as Mayor, you really get to see the heart of the community, the acts of kindness and selflessness that our residents have towards each other and the community groups have towards their community. I'd like to say a few brief thank yous. Thank you to Dr. Nerina De Lorenzo, our CEO. You have been an exemplary leader in leading this council as an organisation. Your frank and fearless advice, coupled with your depth of wisdom, has set Moreland in good stead for many more years to come. Thank you to the wonderful EA to the Mayor, Jen Bessam. You've been an incredible support. And when I think of support, I have to thank my wonderful family. My parents, Nancy and Robert Davidson, my Auntie Josie, my Uncle Vince, Avira, Arthur, Amadeo, and my little cousin Fiore. And finally, my amazing partner, Frank. Thank you, you've been an invaluable blessing for this incredible year. And I welcome and I congratulate the newly elected Mayor, Councillor John Kavanagh, a councillor with the highest order of integrity and a brilliant mind. Moreland, you're in good hands.
Thank you very much, Helen, for those wonderful words. And now I'll declare the meeting closed at 7:32, and I'll invite everyone to join us for some refreshments. Thank you very much.